I remember every single detail of that night. The exact shade of anger in my father's eyes, the trembling in my mother's hands as she pointed toward the door, the sound of my own heartbeat drowning out every word they screamed at me. I was 16 years old, and in less than 3 hours, I went from being their son to being nothing, a stranger, an embarrassment, someone they wished had never been born, all because I told them the truth about who I was, all because I said 3 words that changed everything. I am gay. And if you're watching this right now, wherever you are in the world, I need you to drop a comment and tell me where you're from, because this story, my story, it's not just mine. It belongs to every kid who's ever hidden who they are, every teenager who's cried themselves to sleep wondering if they'll ever be accepted, every person who's ever lost everything just for being themselves. So hit that subscribe button right now and smash that like button, because what I'm about to share with you could change your life. Or maybe, just maybe, it could save it. Let me take you back to the beginning. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where you go to church every Sunday, where boys play football and girls wear dresses to homecoming, where anything different is whispered about behind closed doors. My parents were respected members of the community. My dad was a deacon at our church. My mom organized charity events and bake sales. From the outside, we look like the perfect American family. But here's the thing about perfect families. They're only perfect when everyone plays their assigned role. And I knew from a very young age that I wasn't going to fit the role they had written for me. I was maybe 12 when I first started to understand that I was different. While my friends were developing crushes on girls in our class, I found myself drawn to the boys. I didn't have a word for it at first. I just knew that something inside me didn't match what everyone expected. And that terrified me, because in my house, in my community, being gay wasn't just wrong, it was unforgivable. I heard the way my parents talked about gay people, the disgust in their voices, the hateful words they used so casually at the dinner table. They didn't know they were talking about their own son. They didn't know that every cruel joke, every harsh sermon, every disgusted look was a knife cutting into my heart. So I did what so many of us do. I hid. I buried that part of myself so deep that I thought maybe if I tried hard enough, I could make it disappear. I dated girls. I played sports. I laughed at the jokes that made me die inside. I became a master actor in my own life. And every single day, I was suffocating. By the time I was 16, I couldn't take it anymore. The weight of the lies was crushing me. I was having panic attacks. I couldn't sleep. I was falling apart at the seams, and nobody could see it because I had gotten so good at pretending. One night, I sat in my room and made a decision. I wrote in my journal that I couldn't live like this anymore, that the truth was killing me, and that I would rather lose everything than spend one more day denying who I was. I didn't know then how prophetic those words would become. It was a Thursday evening, October 15th. I'll never forget that date as long as I live. We had just finished dinner. My younger sister had gone upstairs to do homework. My parents were sitting in the living room, and I stood in the doorway with my heart pounding so hard I thought it might explode. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something. My voice was shaking. My hands were trembling. I had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in my head, but nothing could prepare me for reality. My dad looked up from his newspaper. My mom put down her coffee. "What is it?" my mom asked, and I said the words that would end my childhood. "I'm gay." The silence that followed was deafening. It lasted maybe 5 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Then my father's face transformed into something I had never seen before. Pure rage, pure hatred, directed at me, his own son. He stood up so fast the chair fell over behind him. The next hour was a blur of screaming and crying and words that cut deeper than any physical blow ever could. He called me an abomination. He said I was disgusting. He said I had brought shame on our family. He said he wished I had never been born. My mother just sat there crying. Not for me, for herself, for the son she thought she had lost. She kept asking where she went wrong, what she did to deserve this, as if my existence, my truth, was a punishment inflicted upon her. By 9 o'clock that night, my father gave me an ultimatum. You have two choices. Either you admit this is a phase, some kind of sick rebellion, and we'll get you the help you need, or you get out of this house and never come back. I looked at him. I looked at my mother, who wouldn't even meet my eyes, and I realized something devastating. They had never really known me. They had loved an idea of me, a version of me that didn't exist, and now that they were seeing the real me, they couldn't bear it. I can't change who I am, I said, and with those words, my fate was sealed. My father pointed to the door. Get out. I had 30 minutes to pack whatever I could fit in a duffel bag, 30 minutes to gather 16 years of life. Some clothes, my journal, a photo of my grandmother who had passed away 2 years before, $47 I had saved from my birthday. My sister was crying in her room. She was only 12. She didn't understand what was happening. She just knew her big brother was leaving and might never come back. I hugged her and told her I loved her. I told her none of this was her fault. I told her to be brave. And then I walked out the front door into the cold October night. The door closed behind me with a sound that I can still hear in my nightmares. I stood on that porch for maybe 5 minutes. Part of me was waiting for them to open the door, to tell me they made a mistake, to say they were sorry. But the door never opened. I was completely and utterly alone. I started walking. I had no plan, no destination, just $47 and a bag of clothes and a heart that felt like it had been ripped out of my chest. The next few weeks were the hardest of my entire life. I slept in parks, in bus stations, behind a grocery store where the heat vents kept me warm. I learned how to make a pack of crackers last 2 days. I learned which fast food restaurants would let you sit inside without buying anything. I learned that being invisible was the safest way to survive. Do you know what homelessness does to a 16-year-old? It breaks you down piece by piece. The hunger, the cold, the constant fear. But worse than all of that was the loneliness. The crushing, unbearable loneliness of knowing that the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally had thrown you away like garbage. There were nights I didn't want to keep going. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There were moments when the darkness felt like it would swallow me whole. But something kept me holding on. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe it was a belief that my story couldn't end like this. Or maybe it was the tiny voice inside me that whispered that I deserved to live, that I deserved to be loved, that who I was not something to be ashamed of. 3 weeks after I was kicked out, I found myself outside a youth shelter in the next town over. I had walked 15 miles to get there because someone at a coffee shop had told me they help kids like me. I was terrified to go inside. I was scared they would judge me, turn me away, tell me the same things my parents had told me, but I was out of options. So I pushed open the door, and for the first time in 3 weeks, someone looked at me with kindness. Her name was Maria. She was a counselor at the shelter, and when I told her my story, she didn't flinch. She didn't look at me with disgust or pity. She just put her hand on my shoulder and said, "You're safe here." I broke down crying. Ugly, heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep inside me. All the pain and fear and grief that I had been holding and came pouring out. And she just held me. A stranger held me when my own mother wouldn't. The shelter became my lifeline. They gave me a bed, hot meals, access to counseling, help getting back into school. But more than any of that, they gave me something I thought I had lost forever: hope. At the shelter, I met other kids like me, LGBTQ youth who had been thrown away by their families. We became each other's family, our chosen family. And I learned that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes family is the people who choose to love you when the people who were supposed to love you don't. The road to healing wasn't easy. There were setbacks, dark days, moments when the trauma would come crashing back. I had to learn how to trust again, how to believe that I was worthy of love, how to silence the voices of my parents that still echoed in my head telling me I was wrong, broken, disgusting. It took years. Therapy helped. Finding community helped. Letting myself feel all the anger and grief instead of pushing it down helped. And slowly, day by day, I started to rebuild. I graduated high school. I got into college. I built a life that I'm proud of, a life where I can be fully, unapologetically myself. I haven't spoken to my parents in years. I'm not going to pretend that doesn't hurt. It does. Every holiday, every birthday, every time I see someone with their mom or dad and wonder what that feels like. But I've learned that I can grieve what I lost and still embrace what I have. I can miss the parents I needed them to be while accepting the parents they are. And I can love myself even when they couldn't. My sister reached out to me last year. She's 20 now. She told me she never stopped thinking about me, that she's proud of me, that she doesn't agree with what our parents did. We talk every week now. She's one of my best friends. Some things can be healed. If you're watching this and you're LGBTQ and you're scared, if you're hiding who you are because you're afraid of what might happen, I want you to know something. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not an abomination. You are a human being worthy of love and respect and happiness. And if the people in your life right now can't see that, there are people out there who will. Your chosen family is waiting for you. If you're watching this and you're a parent, I want you to really hear me. Your child's sexuality or gender identity is not a reflection of your parenting. It's not something that can be changed or fixed. It's simply who they are. And your response to that truth will shape their life in ways you cannot imagine. You have the power to be their greatest source of strength or their deepest wound. Choose wisely. Choose love. As for me, I'm still writing my story. Every day that I wake up and live authentically is a victory. Every moment of joy is a reclamation of all the happiness that was stolen from me. Every person I meet who accepts me as I am is proof that the world is changing. I walked out of my parents' house with $47 and a broken heart, but I built a life filled with love, purpose, and pride. Not pride in spite of who I am, pride because of who I am. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for witnessing my story. If this video touched you in any way, please share it. You never know who might need to hear these words. Comment below with your own story if you're comfortable. Let's build a community where nobody has to feel alone. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, no matter what you're going through, you are worthy, you are enough, and your story matters. I'll see you in the next video.